There's a brief moment, right before confession, when you just want to turn and run. In all honesty, it can be torture. And the longer it takes the person ahead of you to confess, the stronger the feeling to back out. Right before you decide to leave, the confessional door opens and it's your turn. Not everyone believes in the Catholic way. I get asked all the time, why not just talk to God yourself? Often the people we have wronged are already gone. Or those who have hurt us might never reach out to make amends. And then there's all those secrets we keep to ourselves.
The Father of mercies, through the death and the resurrection of his Son.
All I can tell you is, there's something very liberating about telling another human being the things you are sorry for having done. Even more so are the words of absolution and being forgiven.
Through the ministry of the Church, may God give you pardon and peace. And I absolve you from your sins.
I always cry afterwards.
In the name of the Father,
and I'm always relieved
Son,
that I got down on my knees and followed through.
Amen.
Father, I don't remember how I'm supposed to do this. And truth is, I've never done one before. Forgive me if I don't exactly follow the rules. I would like to tell my wife that I'm sorry for having killed our daughter. I was drinking again. We split up over 10 years ago, and right after, I stopped drinking, thinking it was probably part of the problem. Of course, our daughter stayed with her mother. On occasion, she would visit me, and has started back recently doing that, but during the COVID lockdown, I went a long time without seeing her. And during the COVID lockdown, I don't know if it was from depression or loneliness, or just looking for an excuse to start back, but I started drinking again. Our daughter, would come visit occasionally. This past weekend she was with me, and Saturday morning I got up sort of early and started drinking early. She came down a little later and asked me if I would drive her to a nearby town to see a friend of hers. And I've always tried to accommodate her because of the time I've lost over the past 10 years or so of not being there for her. I always want to do as much as I can for her. So of course I told her yes, I'd be glad to drive her. She got her things together and went to the car. I grabbed a couple of beers, so I would figured I would sip them on the way home after dropping her off. We got on the road, and it was a 2-lane road that took going to that town. It had some curves. The last thing I remember was coming around a curve and seeing a bridge. I didn't remember anything else until I woke up in the hospital. Doctor came in a short time after I woke up and sat down. I don't know if he ever took a course in bedside manners, but that you always hear doctors have and study. But I think he stayed home the day they taught that course, because after he sat down, he looked me in the eye and said, "Your daughter is dead." It hit me hard. My little girl. I always dreamed of getting older and marrying and having children, so I would have grandchildren. All those things disappeared. And I had to realize that my daughter was gone. God, why couldn't it have been me instead of her? And maybe soon it will be me and her.
Welcome to How to Tell Anything to Anyone. When you know what you want to say and who you want to say it to, simply follow the on-screen instructions and record your message.
I would like to tell my dad that I love him very, very much, and that he's the best dad I could ever wish for, and that I'm proud to be his daughter, because I never had the chance to tell him. When he got seriously ill and died, I was just a little girl, so I never really had the chance. I hope you can hear this now, and I hope you're proud of me and your 2 grandsons and my husband. You always said that there are too many girls in our family. Even our dog was a girl. Nothing makes you happier than your girls, but nevertheless your dream was to once have a grandson, or maybe 2. Well, here they are. I bet you would have had a lot of fun together. Our elder one loves New York as much as you loved it, and our little one loves Frank Sinatra just like you. I'm so sad that you never met them, or my husband. You would have loved them very much. Well, as a child, I always wanted to marry you, because I always wanted to be with you. And I miss you almost every day. There are so many things I would like to ask you. I still need your advice. I miss your warm voice and your heart. I hope you're proud of me, proud that I worked hard for my dreams. Yes, I made it as a runway model to the legendary New York Fashion Week, although I'm actually not tall enough. I always wanted to be a flight attendant, and now I'm flying for one of the biggest international airlines. Acting was always my passion, and you already saw my talent when I was very little. I live my dreams now because you always told me that I should be brave, that I should work for them, and that I should never do things by halves. You taught me so many things about life and how to pray to God. I remember my first prayer was that God should conjure up an ice cream for me. You had to laugh and explain to me that this is not why we are praying and that not all wishes will be fulfilled. I'm grateful for everything we experienced together. Every Christmas, I'm crying. I'm laughing at the same time because I still remember that decorating the Christmas tree was a very serious matter for you. You always locked the door of our living room because you wanted to do it alone. How can I tell you that? It didn't look so beautiful. You decorated it with too much tinsel. Well, our cats loved it. I will always remember our holidays together. You loved the sea. You loved Italy and the delicious food. I visited many places again. Just to feel you. I even spent the night in Istanbul. You always wanted to see it. And it touched me a lot. You would have loved it. You loved the people around you. And the people loved you. You taught me that everyone is special and that I should treat everyone with respect. Your heart was so big. You believed in God. You loved your life and you still had so many plans when you had to leave. And you never complained about your fate. That still impresses me today. I know that you're still with me, and that's what makes me happy. I'm making sure that you remember, and I know you will watch this in heaven. I love you. Forever.
Small, dark, trapped. 4 children, 1 closet, millions of stars. Tiny hands turn pages. Andromeda, Cygnus, Cassiopeia. Dream, pretend, escape. Anywhere but here. Patterns form. A through line thread woven through misery. Lines connecting stars. Small, dark, trapped. Tiny hands grasp tightly. A beacon. A lighthouse. An anchor. I want to tell you what that poem means. When I was growing up, I spent a lot of time locked in a closet with my 3 sisters. It was our dad's way of punishing us. It didn't matter what we did, and it didn't matter who got in trouble. We all were treated the same way. And sometimes he just wanted to be alone, so he would send us here. We learned to look at it like a blessing. In here, we were safe from the darkness outside. If it wasn't for the glow-in-the-dark night sky book, we would have been lost to the world. But instead, we learned about the stars and constellations. Small, dark, trapped. The closet line, the first 2 lines are pretty much straightforward. They are about being locked in the closet, sent to the closet, but also about an abusive childhood in general. Dream, pretend, escape. Anywhere but here is in reference to coping mechanisms, mostly unhealthy ones. Getting lost in fantasy worlds, books, TV shows, maladaptive daydreaming and dissociating. Patterns forming. The through line thread is just, I guess I was kind of recreating trauma in my life, like not intentionally, but it's common for victims of abuse to attract more abusers. You are trained not to defend yourself, and abusers can kind of pick up on the fact that you're easy to victimize, or on the fact that you are easy to control. So after I kind of escaped my childhood home, I ended up in a series of abusive relationships. So that's that pattern. And then a beacon, a lighthouse, an anchor. That I've always had like children in my life that I had to protect, raise, shelter from like the abuse and everything around us. And they've always given me like a reason to keep going, which is guides, but also a connection to life. What I've gotten out of this, I guess it's mostly negative. Trauma, unhealthy coping mechanisms, I guess, different kinds of mental illnesses, PTSD and OCD and the stuff that goes with that, like anxiety and depression. On the positive side, I've learned that there are people who are really willing to be there to support you and help pull you out of those dark places. I've had a lot of really, I guess, dangerous relationships in my life, but the supportive ones have meant a lot.
I want to say thank you to my ex-boss who I slaved for and dedicated every minute of my life to, just so that his business would grow bigger and so that he could grow richer. Michael, I did this for you for years at the expense of neglecting my own family, myself, and my pride. But you know what? I'm actually grateful for the fact that you turned your back on me, even after all my dedication and the blood, sweat, and tears that I gave to you and the company for so long. In the end, found out you were more concerned with your own image in the eyes of the investors that bought into the company than you were at even thinking about standing up for those that got you to where you were and brought the success that the company saw through the years. Then you lied to my face and told me that it was happening to everybody, it's nothing personal, Ed. When in fact, I found out that you had already made an agreement with them to replace me with one of the investors' friends, who incidentally knew absolutely nothing of the systems that I had developed for you for years. You know, through all those years, I ignored being the butt of your jokes just so you could do the power play when other people were around and be the center of attention at my expense. And then when nobody was around, you'd take advantage of my dedication and my helpfulness and do things like ask me to do personal work for your rich friends or for you at your home or your wife's farm without any pay. But you'd make sure that you complimented me on my knowledge and my hard work. And then me, without any hesitation, I'd agree to help any way I could. And I didn't say a word the time that we were in that managers meeting. And because I had said that we needed some outside help and it was going to cost us a little bit of money, you took your wallet out of your pants pocket and threw it at me, hitting me in the face, saying, "Here, take all my money," just so that you could look like the big, powerful CEO. And I never said a word when you would insult me, calling me old or weak and stupid. You'd actually make faces at me like a kid, like I was mentally handicapped. And again, only when others were around so they could see what was happening. One-on-one, you'd use that old, "Oh, we could never have done this without you. Your hard work is what got us to where we are." But you know what, Michael, most hurtful of all was when I used to talk to you about my personal goals and dreams. And you'd shoot them down, convincing me that they were unobtainable. Ed, grow up. Concentrate on the company. We got a lot going on. Well, you know what, Michael? After you turned your back on me in the end and terminated me, I want to tell you something. I was lost. You took from me those years of dedication, of hard work, and in return, you actually killed something inside of me. I felt like a failure. Not to you, to my family, to myself. But guess what? I suddenly found me, the person who I really was, the person that I had been hiding inside of me for so long. And I took the anger and the hurt to look at myself and promise that I would never, ever again let anyone squash my dreams ever again. So I started reaching for those stars. And when I became afraid or doubtful or discouraged, all I'd have to do is remember those years of working for you and your abuse, and it would refuel my fire all over again. Michael, the dreams that you called foolish, guess what? They've become a reality. And I hold my future in my own hand, and it's amazing. I now have people and opportunities that are reaching out to me because they see my strength, my talent, and my drive that you smothered for years. So, Michael, thank you. But before you pat yourself on the back, hear this. I haven't found my success now because of you. I have found my success and reached my dreams in spite of you.
Do you know what happened to me many years ago? I got so scared I couldn't leave my apartment for a whole week. Couldn't go buy groceries, take out the garbage. I was scared of men. Does it sound weird to you? I don't think I'm one in a million, at all. When I was a kid, I used to walk to school. I had to cross this park, a small park. And I had to be careful because sometimes there were men hanging out there. They used to come up at me and tell me the things they liked to do to me sexually. I was about 10 years old when I was forced to hear those things. Do you want to hear one of the classics? They say they'd like to invite me to take a shit at their house, as I had such a cute butt. I was a kid. I haven't even gone through puberty yet when I was forced to hear those things. Of course, after puberty it got worse. So much worse. From almost being kidnapped to learning to avoid friendly physical contact, because so many assholes misunderstood a hug for a sexual insinuation. You know, it happened to me twice. During the consultation, the doctor made a move on me. Parties if I got drunk. I always got touched by even my own friends. Or harassed in the bus, whatever. I think I just couldn't take it anymore. I got exhausted. I found myself being scared of going to the supermarket, as there was this very narrow space where I had to stay in line to pay. And I always got my ass touched there, unwillingly, but surprisingly never by a woman. So yeah, just couldn't take it. My ex-boyfriend found out about this. We were still very close, so he came to my place and bought me some food and all that. But The days passed by and I was still scared even to get to the sidewalk to pull out the garbage bags. So they kept piling up in this patio that I have. A whole week of garbage bags stockpiled there. One day I went out because I needed some salmon for my after a week. And when I was lying there on the patio floor, sunbathing a little, I saw this huge, fat, white worm coming to my face. It was so disgusting. I jumped up and ran to bring a shovel to remove it. But when I came back, I realized there were hundreds of them all over the patio floor. They had different sizes, they were coming and going in different directions, and I didn't know what to do. I tried to kill them by stomping on them, but that's very difficult. So, and I know it's kind of cruel, but I put some water to boil and I started pouring boiling water over them. And as I was doing that, it started to rain. So the cold water made the killing more difficult, but I continued. And I did that. I killed worms under the rain for like an hour. And that's when I realized I was in a way also killing the worms that had grown inside me because of fear. The killing of the worms was sort of like an unplanned ritual or something like that. It wasn't that my life changed afterwards. I mean, I continued to come across chauvinist and sometimes violent men through the years. But I started speaking my mind about it, talking to other women, and also exposing aggressors publicly. Because, you know, I'm not special. This doesn't happen just to me. I'm the girl that couldn't go out for a week and brew worms in her house. But each one of us women have our own way to get through it, however we can. I would like to invite all men who think that this behavior toward women is acceptable to think that this could happen to your own daughter. What would you say then? Your answer says a lot about what kind of man you are.
I would like to ask anyone and everyone if they have seen my feet.
Wait, I think I need to explain. When I was 16, I went shopping alone for the first time. I was a very community-based person, so I never went anywhere alone. And boy, was it a new experience. I'm in the middle of the mall, and this man approaches me with his backpack and his clipboard. He says that he's taking photos for a body positivity campaign. He said he is taking photos of the parts of the body that people normally attribute as being gross or not beautiful. Well, I am all about body positivity, so I'm intrigued, and I agree to be a part of the project. All I have to do is allow him to take photos of my feet. I said yes. I didn't really think about it. I was so focused on the body positivity part of it all that the red flags didn't register. He said great, and we started walking. He wants us to use the Dillard's dressing room for the photos. I said no, I'm not comfortable with that, and instead I suggest the women's bathroom. You know, because I feel safer in a more public place. He said, of course. And we make our way to the women's bathroom. It's a very nice bathroom. It's got a little lobby in the front, which is where we set up. So we get in there, and he asked me to take off my shoes. And it is important to note that it is winter time, so I am wearing Christmas leopard print, thick, fuzzy socks. So I take off my shoes, I peel off my socks, and think we are ready to go. But no. This man reaches into his backpack and pulls out a jar of coconut oil and asks to put it on my feet. Well, I'm too deep in now, so I said okay. This man proceeds to lather my feet in coconut oil. So we start taking pictures. He has me pose my feet. This lady does come in to use the restroom and gives us odd looks coming in and out of the room. And after a few more photos, he asks if I can sit on my feet and he'd take pictures from the back. He asked if I can pull my pants down a little. I said, no, I am not comfortable with that. After a few other photos, we were done. He packs up his things and said I can find the photos on some website. I put my shoes back on, my socks, and feel the full unpleasantness of fuzzy socks, tight boots, and coconut oil on my poor feet for the rest of the shopping day. And that is the story of how my feet ended up on the internet. Have you seen them?
Dear Dad, I thought for a while about writing this letter to you. We've never been close, and I'm not sure you've ever actually heard me express my feelings about anything over the last few years. I think we're both aware that there's a bit of a rift between us. I wouldn't venture to call you an uninvolved father, but you were certainly unattentive. As the only girl, younger than all of my brothers, Barbies and fairies fell to the wayside of Little League baseball games and wrestling matches. And I think we both know this. I won't lie. All of those added up to a lot of hurt and confusion for me. But as much as I've spent the last few years thinking that if I did have a chance like this to tell you something, it would be to list out the ways your actions have affected me. Now that I have the chance, it turns out that that isn't what I want to say. The man that I'm angry at, the man that I knew when I was a child, doesn't even exist anymore. There's a new person now that has taken his place. A loving and attentive grandfather, so involved in his granddaughter's life, it's almost unfathomable that he once had a daughter who felt ignored and isolated from him. I'm so excited that you're getting a second chance. It's not a sadness, and it isn't anger. It's something different. Melancholy, maybe. Wistfulness. Still, with all of these feelings, there is joy. There's joy for Anna getting to have such a loving and involved grandpa, and joy for you getting your second chance to raise a little girl. Your first chance? I think she'll be okay. It's ironic. My dad is transforming my old room from how it looked when I was growing up. In a few weeks, I won't recognize it anymore. Just like I don't recognize him. I don't recognize him as the attentive, fatherly figure he's become. I'm gonna leave this letter beside his favorite chair before I go. And I'm taking with me the lesson he never intended to teach me. Someday I'll make sure to never pass that lesson along to my own child. And together we'll enjoy the man he is today.
I would like to tell my sister that I'm really annoyed at how codependent she is with her parents. It just baffles me that I'm younger and I've been living by myself for 3 years and she can't live by herself for 3 months without having a mental breakdown. Like, I understand that she's going through a tough time and that being independent isn't as easy for everyone as it is for me, but like, why can't she make decisions on her own? Like, why do you have to wait for mom and dad to tell you to go to the therapist and for dad to pay for you when you know you need it? Like, why can't you decide which job to take without mom and dad having to approve it first? You're 25 years old, for God's sake. Why are you still living under the expectations that mom and dad put on you when you were 15 years old? I don't expect you to stop talking to them or anything like that, but I'm just so tired of being labeled the rebellious one just because I make my own decisions, and because you can't, then you're the perfect child in their eyes. It's just annoying. So, today I'm going to be doing something that I've needed to do for a very long time, and that is to confront my sister about our differences. So, my older sister and I are completely different, and that's perfectly fine, but it frustrates me a lot, and I tend to judge her a lot, and I don't want to do that anymore. In a nutshell, I am the middle child. I am really independent. I've lived by myself for 3 years in the Czech Republic, and my older sister is very codependent with our parents, and she was kind of forced to live on her own, and it backfired really, really hard. So I kind of judge her a lot, and you could say, like, why don't you just let it go and you live your life and let her live hers? But I love her so much, and I really want to get to a point where I can understand her and be there for her and support her in everything she does. So I'm gonna dial her in and we're gonna see what happens.
Your personal How to Tell Anything online therapy session will begin once you allow your guest into the room. Remember, this session will be recorded and used in the film.
Hey sis.
Hi sis, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm nervous and excited and I don't know what's about to happen, but
you know that I started going to therapy about past issues and stuff like that, and we touched on like the family issues that we've had throughout our life, I guess. And from my perspective, from this side, it's like I've made a lot of decisions that maybe mom and dad are not happy about, like taking acting classes. They were like, no, why are you wasting your money? But I don't know, but like I feel like you might not take a decision without asking mom and dad first, or like knowing that they're okay with it. Is that like the truth, or am I just making that up?
No, that's completely the truth. I am so dependent on them. Even right now, when they're on the other side of the world completely, our time zones are crazy, but I still talk to them every single day, and I tell them everything from like when I'm cooking something, because this was my first time living alone the past few months. I would send her videos. Am I cooking the rice okay? Is this looking fine? Am I missing more water on these beans? And I just send her pictures of everything I eat.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. But one of the things for me that frustrates me with all this is that I feel like you could be doing so much more with your life if you didn't depend on mom and dad so much. And that's just my perspective. What I really wanted to kind of get from this was understand your thought process and understand why you're so connected to mom and dad, because I've obviously loved them, but I don't feel that dependent on them, you know.
So now hearing you talk about this, now I have a question for you. Do you maybe feel a little bit jealous because I'm so close to mom and dad and you're not?
I'd never really thought about that, but I kind of guess I am. And I did want to have some connection or a stronger connection with you guys because you were the only people that I had.
But you never made an effort to make that connection strong. I know I myself, at least, I made an effort. I saw mom and dad making an effort to include you, to invite you to come with us, but you were always in your room, locked there for so many years, doing, I don't even know what in there, crying or drawing, I don't know. Why were you always in your room, and why would you always push us away?
I felt that I couldn't handle my anger. I couldn't handle being around people, and I didn't want to hurt any of you. I felt that if I was gonna be out there, something was gonna make me pop, and I was gonna do something I was gonna regret. And mom always told me, like, if you're feeling angry, then maybe you should stay, like, sit to a side and not deal with things. And I kind of guess I took that too far and just really secluded myself for a very long time. And I feel like this is the first time I'm actually saying this to someone, so this is really crazy. But yeah, I think it had a lot to do with my anger management issues. I was really angry at myself. I guess growing up in a way in Sofi's shadow, because Sofi, like, I feel like you were always a perfect child and I was not. I was the one that threw doors at people's faces and hit them in the shins and stuff. Like, I was always very angry. And so I guess you were like the very angel, calm person, and so we were so opposite that I always felt compared to you. And so then I wanted to have nothing to do with that, I guess.
I remember, just remembering now how when we were very little, this is a story mom told me, that you would always, we're 3 years and 9 months apart, and even though I am the oldest one, you would come and you would pull my hair until you would have it out, and you would come and you would hit me. And because, I've always been so like shy and just quiet, I wouldn't do anything. I would just cry and go and be sad, until one day mom gave me permission and she's like, Sofi, go to Adri, and just hit her back. You have to defend yourself. She cannot keep doing this to you. And I feel like that's how, my whole life with you has been. It's always like, you're hurting me. You do something, related to your anger, and you just take it out on me, and mom is always like my refuge. I'm like, Mom, I don't even know how to deal with Adri anymore. I don't know what to do anymore. I've tried everything. I've tried being patient. I've tried prayer. I've tried being a good sister. I've tried giving her space, and nothing is working. And So I'm really happy we're having this conversation, so at least I can know, how you felt, how you're feeling, how you're dealing with this anger, which I cannot relate because
you've never been angry.
And I have.
It's even so crazy for me the way that you've dealt with me. Like I've always been like hurting you, and then you just take me back like a savior, and you're just like, yeah, come here, it's okay. And I'm like, how do you even have so much niceness in you to do that? Like, yeah, you must have a lot of peace.
It's because we're family, and when mom and dad are not gonna be there anymore, it's just gonna be the three of us, the three sisters, And I remember there was a time when mom told you, when we were all in Kenya, and mom told you, Adri, if you continue being like this to your sisters, you are not going to have sisters to grow old with. When we both pass away, it's gonna be you alone, and then Nikki and Sofi are gonna be sisters, and they're never going to call you or reach out to you because of the way you've been treating them, And that made me think a lot, and I'm like, I don't want that to happen, You are my family, you are my sisters, and I will always love you. I'm your big sister, and I'm not perfect. You're saying like I'm this savior and this saint. I'm not perfect. I've made so many mistakes, and I will keep making them because I'm human, And I also would expect you and Nikki to forgive me, if I ever do something that might hurt you in the future or something. But just know that I'm here for you, that I love you, that I have a forgiving heart, and yeah, you're my baby sister, and that's never going to change.
One of the things that my therapist and I were talking about was my lack of self-control and my binge eating problems, and that comes from not having any limits from when we were younger on our food. And I don't know if it happened to you, Sofi, but like for me, mom would never she would let me eat anything. She never put limits on the food. She was like, just eat. And that made me not have any limits, so I can buy a whole packet of chips and a whole bag of cookies, and I eat the entire thing without any limits. And so that made me super angry growing up. I remember my first ever memory that I have, and I have very little memories of my childhood, which is another whole shebang, was me deciding that for dinner I was only going to have a cucumber because I knew that if I ate less I was going to lose weight. And going to the beach in Cyprus with all these little skinny girls in their bikinis, and then me, I look back, I was like, I was fine, but in my mind I was the fattest kid on the beach. And so having mom be so conscious about my weight but not really doing anything about it, or not being consistent in it, that made me angry towards myself, and I would take it out on people.
I need to think of this. Well, today I discovered that even you don't know where that anger comes from, or at least it's really hard for you to know where that anger comes from. And I've discovered that the anger is not, because of me or something I did or a mistake I made or something, which is a relief. It's not like you hate me, and that's really good to know.
I've kind of been judging you for the wrong thing. Okay, so I shouldn't judge you at all, but I feel like I always thought that you being so codependent with mom and dad was a bad thing, but if that's what you need to feel empowered and to reach your goals and to live your best life, then I should accept that and appreciate that. And I also realize that there are a lot of things internally that I have to deal with still, so I think I'm gonna have to go back to therapy soon.
I would like to tell my parents that I lied to them about where I got my stitches a few years ago. I wasn't in a fight in Australia. I'm sorry, Dad. I know you like to brag about me to your friends, but the truth is, I got them during sex. I mean, I was in Australia, but I wasn't fighting two bullies. I was on the beach, sleeping in a van. It was one of those vans with the canopy on the back of the tailgates. I had met this guy earlier in the bar. I was flirting with him, and he was flirting back in that mesmerizing Aussie accent. And one thing led to the other, and we ended up in the back of the van having sex. Close your ears, Dad, if you can't hear anymore. But I have to get this off my chest. Mom, I know you can handle it. So, he was fucking me pretty hard. I mean, he was just thrusting into me, but every time I was getting closer and closer to the edge of that flimsy canopy. He final pounded me so hard that I fell out of the back of the van and onto my head. I was scrambling, trying to get to the side door, and I hit my head again. Bust open my forehead. I was bleeding everywhere. And I was so embarrassed because there was people everywhere. Families. And I was butt naked. Everything was out. I tried reaching for my dress, but all I could find was the sheet to cover up. The guy had to take me to the hospital, the emergency room, and it was just the most embarrassing thing to happen to me. But I just had to tell somebody. Confess. And now I finally have.
When you are ready to record How to Tell Anything, simply press the on-screen record icon.
I would like to tell my grown children why I was so hard on them when they were teenagers. I thought I had to do everything perfectly and be very strict and say no to everything because when I was a teenager, I was a wild child and things really got pretty much out of control with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So that's where my story begins, in my tiny little town in Pennsylvania in the mountains of the Allegheny National Forest. 2,000 people, a little town in 1970. It was just as innocent and prosaic as can be. But there was that war going on, and our friends were coming back, some dead, some alive, and the guys that came back that had dope, well, that just caught on, and we all became, our little town became as hip as Haight Street. It was just everything, you know, and every kind of drugs you can imagine, really. And I, at that time, had wanted to start selling Avon. I've always liked selling things ever since I was 5 years old, and I went around the neighborhood and sold my drawings. But So I was given a route by a territory by Avon, but it was in the backwoods, the canyons of the mountains. And when I went there on my route, I was just horrified because there were just little one-room shacks, and babies with dirty diapers were toddling out the door, followed by gnarly dogs and moms running after them, and then they'd see me, and I had my I was cute as can be, and I had my Avon paisley blue satchel, and they'd stop like I was some kind of apparition, and then they'd dig down in their actual goddamn cookie jars for enough money to buy their husbands or boyfriends or whatever a soap on the rope. And I didn't sell anything that first time, and I never went back. What I did was instead I just emptied out all the samples I had, and I just told myself I'd find another route to sell Avon. The answer came to me when I started college at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, and then I was able to just take my Avon samples and my order book and go to dorm rooms or to sorority houses, and then that way I could also sell, the weed, the pills, the hallucinogenics, whatever I had. And I could actually, because you deliver Avon, I'd be there twice, so I could get them coming and going. And it worked out very well for me. And in time, everybody recognized that blue paisley Avon. I was handing out those white bags. Nobody knew if it was topaz talc or Acapulco gold. So it worked well, and I got really busy, and I had to include some friends in this, and after a few months there were about 10 girls plus Tad. Tad was an adorable boy who wanted to help us. What's confusing about all this, and why there's so many good memories that I want to share as well, is that it really did seem peace and love everywhere. I hitchhiked everywhere. One time I was hitchhiking alone to Canada, to the Strawberry Fields Festival, which is the year after Woodstock. And I thought this was just a really nice man giving me a ride in his nice Buick. And then when he started yelling at me and grabbed me, and then I looked over and he had his hard cock in his hand, that's when I learned I could tuck and roll out of a moving car, and I did, and just got another ride. But that's the kind of stuff that, I couldn't tell my kids that when they were young and impressionable. And I've got this little window of time before my grandkids will get to be teenage impressionable too. So I have this one little window of time to let you guys know that, and that's why I was so hard on you. And you're just amazing kids, and I love you. And I'm glad you weren't like I was.
So I had a really close friend, and we would hang out all of the time. And go to the movies. We were not dating, but we were friends. And one night, I went out to his property. He had 10 acres that he was building a house on. And we were having a beer by the fire. Something we'd done in the past, no big deal. And he brought me an unopened beer, which I, of course, wouldn't have thought twice about. And I drank it. We ended up going inside, starting a movie, and I remember watching the movie, or part of the movie, and the next thing I remember was waking up very confused, laying next to him with his penis in my hand. So I've been thinking a lot about it, and I just need to get it off my chest, and I want people to know that it's okay not to know what to do. After I was raped, I didn't know what to do. I was frightened and I was scared, and really I just thought it was my fault. Somehow I let this happen, and I really need people to know that is not your fault. It's not your fault. Somebody else did this to you, and it shouldn't be put on you, and it shouldn't be put on the clothes you wear or the choices you made, because you didn't get to make that choice, and I didn't get to make that choice. And somebody took my body and used it for their own purposes, and I wasn't present because I was drugged, and I know that, and it's scary. And what makes it more scary for me now is that I have a 12-year-old daughter who doesn't know this, and I don't know how to tell her how to be careful enough to prevent this from happening to her. And now all I can think of is, what if my little girl is put in this situation? And what if somebody takes advantage of her, and somebody she trusts and somebody who's a friend? What if she doesn't know what to do or what to say? Or if something does happen to her, what if she never speaks up and that person does it to someone else? It's okay to say something. Let that person know that you know what they did. And that is something that I never got the opportunity to do, and I wish that I had. And maybe he'll see this and know that I'm talking about him, and maybe he won't, but maybe I can help someone in the future not have to go through this, or know that they're not going through this alone. The main thing is for me is for him to know that he didn't ruin my life. He didn't take anything away from me that changed me so significantly that I could not function anymore. I'm strong. I work now as a firefighter paramedic, and I get the opportunity to see and to help a lot of people. And I encounter sometimes women who have been mistreated, all the way up to and including rape. And it's now my job to make them, in the moment, feel okay. And while that might be difficult to describe or explain, I feel like I get to kind of pay it forward, and help my community and help the people around me. And if through this I can help one person move forward, or be happier, or be able to tell the person that wronged them what they feel, or tell someone else even what happened, that would make this all worth it. And I hope that that happens.
I'm always amazed at how single moment in life can change or alter a person forever. Even worse when it's out of our control. It's much easier to understand when it's a choice that we've made. but not so much when it's a choice someone else made. Push or a shove, hurtful words, an unwanted touch. Why can't we just walk away and forget it ever happened? Because we all want to be liked. Maybe even loved. To fit in. My God. I was only 14. It was on the playground at school. And it happened often. Linda was older than me. And she always had two wannabe Lindas on either side of her. She acted like a street fighter. But what she really was a bully. Her target was me. You can see this person approach you, and you can tell from the expression on their face that they mean to hurt you. But knowing what's about to happen can in no way prepare you for what it feels like the moment their middle finger presses so hard against your breastbone that you are forced backwards to land on your ass, completely confused as to what you did to deserve such retribution from someone you don't even fucking know and doesn't know you. If you're not a fighter, and I wasn't really, then you're fucked. Your body separates and goes into hiding from your mind. Your mind questions itself and goes on a roller coaster ride of emotions. Hurt, anger, helplessness, fear, escape. You just want to disappear. But where do you go? Because you now have an audience waiting to see what you'll do. So you always go to the one place that you think you'll find safety. Home. And that's where I was told, get over it. It's better to be different. Don't worry, you don't always have to fit in. It's not really what I needed to hear at the time. Because what I did going forward would determine whether my body ever trusted me again. I learned right then that our minds will always overrule our bodies. It rationalizes what we should and shouldn't do. And that's when the effects of what another person did to you changes your life and begins to shape who you ultimately become. If you filled a room full of people who were bullied, they'd all tell you the same thing about the bully. But it's about what they learned about themselves that matters most.
My bullies were always the cool kids, and I always looked up to them. I don't know why I did that. Like Nick Marner. Oof. Nick was the coolest kid in the 7th grade. He wore cool t-shirts with cartoons all over them and Vans skater shoes with little tacos all over them. He was quick-witted, good with the girls, confident, and to most, extremely funny. He would have the whole class laughing at the snap of his fingers. He also happened to live 2 streets away from me, which means we rode the same bus to school. Now, during 7th grade, my middle school was being remodeled, and we were in a holding school that was about a 20-minute bus ride from my neighborhood. And each day, those 20 minutes would prove to be the longest 20 minutes of my day. Now, if you've never been on a school bus filled with middle schoolers, it's probably something reminiscent of being stoned in a courtroom. The whole time you're looking around thinking, is this normal? What would I usually do in this situation? I don't really know how to act normal right now. Fake laugh really loud. Can we skip to the prison part? It's not a fun time. It's an even less fun time when you're a boy who's 4'11", sporting a healthy amount of acne with a head-to-body size ratio that makes you look somewhat like a balloon. These were the shoes that I was in. I wasn't in taco-covered Vans like Nick. And Nick did an exemplary job of never letting me forget it. Each day when I'd get on the bus, he'd open his comedy sketch with something along the lines of, "Whoa, who balanced a watermelon on a toothpick?" And the whole bus would erupt. One time, I swear to God, I saw the bus driver laughing. Then I would take my seat near the front of the bus because only the cool kids sat in the back of the bus. Hopefully next to my friend Brian, who I would talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender with for the duration of the bus ride. But if not, because Brian liked listening to Nick more than he liked talking to me, I would sit by myself and listen to the purposefully loud bad-mouthing that was happening at the back of the bus at my expense. And I wouldn't dare try to interject because that would open me up to hilarious commentary about the way I talk, or the ever-classic interrupting me with gibberish. You know, terrible. But as the year went on, things got meaner. Instead of making comments about the way I look, or my hair, or my gargantuan noggin, it just became comments about how few people liked me, and how few friends I had. Harsh, cutthroat statements like, if you disappeared, no one at school would notice or even care. Or, it's amazing you still come to school because nobody there likes you. Nobody there likes you. And the other kids, they wouldn't laugh. They would just kind of sit there, maybe occasionally agree. But it wasn't for them anymore. It was for me. This kid was going out of his way to exude hate at me, and I didn't know why. That is until one day I came home and found my 6-year-old brother on the sidewalk with a magnifying glass, lighting up ants. And it hit me. You felt small. And making me feel smaller made you walk just a little taller, didn't it? I actually believed there are people in this world that hated me just for being me. Also, you could feel a little bigger. But now I can see right through that beam of hatred, Nick. So I tell you what. Give me a call. I've got a few things to say to you. I thought you were so big when really you were smaller than the ants under my little brother's magnifying glass. How big are you today, Nick?
And I walk into class on the first day, and I'm seated right next to my crush. I thought it was going to be my year. Little did I know, it was going to be one of the worst years of my life. It all started with the rumors that she started, saying that I bribed people to become student body president, and people believed her. I felt a giant target on my back. People started looking at me differently, talking to me differently. then not talking to me at all. I sat alone at lunch. I started to receive emails and texts about how fake I was and how I lied. Not even my best friend would sit with me at lunch anymore because I was tainted. But things started to look up when I got a text from my crush saying, hey. I was over the moon excited. And for the next 2 weeks after that, I was texting him every day. My mom, she'd take me and my brother to the park where he had his baseball practice and his games, and I would just walk around the park with my head in my phone, texting him, learning new things about him. And in person, he didn't really talk to me, but I didn't read that much into it because it was 6th grade and you don't really talk to your crush that much. Then one day, I got on the bus and he looked at me with his 5 friends and just burst out laughing. And he goes, "You're so stupid. You really believed that was him?" And it had been him texting me the whole time rather than my crush. And it just so happened that he was friends with my crush. So I walk into class absolutely devastated, and my crush turns to me and he says, "Did you really believe that?" I was humiliated and embarrassed. I had opened my heart up to that other person on the screen, and eventually everybody found out about it. I was made to feel that nobody would ever like me. Nobody would ever want to like me. I felt stupid. I felt like everything I did was stupid. Walk home every day and cry, my head down. I spoke to a school counselor, but she did nothing about it. I didn't want to live anymore. I felt like the world was completely against me. A lot of my insecurities are still rooted in that time. But now, here I am in LA, trying to be an actress. And eventually, those words just motivated me to do better, be better.
And being bullied by Linda taught me a lot about myself too. So I'd like to tell Linda, it's too bad you didn't take the time to get to know me. We may have even been friends. In fact, I think our parents used to party together at one time. Did you know that? And in a way, you were right. I did dress better than most of the girls. But it wasn't because I thought I was better than everybody. I came from the same neighborhood you did. And all I wanted to do was be tough like you. To have your confidence and the respect that people gave you. That's what I've wanted to tell you all these years. You had me all wrong. And just for the record, I stole those fancy fucking clothes you made fun of. because I wanted to be more than where we just came from. Maybe one day you'll see that we have a lot more in common than you know. But I do know this. It's much easier being a bully. And harder to forgive one.
I woke up from a dead sleep this morning and realized I had something I needed to say to someone. So I just grabbed my camera and headed towards the pond. We all go to sleep under the same stars. And we all wake up under the same sun. Should be easier than ever to tell anybody anything. I have a daughter who says she feels more like a son. I'm not going to pretend to understand all of the language, the words they use, pronouns. I'm not old enough. But I am old enough to tell her that I accept her transformation. I promise to try to call her my son. I would hope that he, see, it's difficult, and I hope that you can understand, Heath, that it might take me a while to not call you by your given name anymore. It's difficult as a parent. And choosing a name it's a big deal. So if you could cut me a little bit of slack on that, I would appreciate it. But I love you for who you are. Whatever you are. Whatever you want to be. When I look at you, I do feel your struggles. I feel how torn you are between being what you want to be and what you think we expect you to be. And I can imagine being in that situation. So I would like to tell you that I love you. No matter what your gender, and no matter what your name is. Just be happy. Find a way. You are loved. And you will be loved.
I let you down, And I know that I was not always around. I made you feel alone. You spent most of your nights just sitting on your own. I should have done so much more, like giving you the things you asked me for. And I know I was wrong. It's what I try to tell you with my song. Tell you with my song. What if I said I'm sorry? What if I'd make a scene? Wouldn't that make you mine again? You're all I'll ever need. Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while? I know that I've done so many things that let you down, but I hope that you're giving me one more chance to make you mine. When I close my eyes, you know that you're the only thing I see, and it makes me cry to think that you are no longer with me. What if I said I'm sorry? What if I'd make a scene? Wouldn't that make you mine again? You're all I ever need. Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while? What if I said I'm sorry? What if I'd make a scene? Wouldn't that make you mine again? You're all I ever need. Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while? That I've done so many things that let you down, but I hope that you're giving me one more chance to make you mine.